Let's face it, financial planning can be boring and stressful. Thankfully, Financial Advisor On Call has changed all that. We created a platform where you can get convenient access to a whole team of financial professionals without paying expensive commissions or asset fees. Think of telemedicine applied to financial services. Let us help make your life easier today. Don't delay, your future awaits.
Welcome to Covering Your Six, where we explore how to pursue a better and more meaningful life by focusing on the 6 F's of faith, family, friends, fitness, finance, and fun. Today is an awesome day to get better and to try something new. So let's get it on. Hey, Tim, when's the last time you saw a good movie on TV or a good show?
At least a couple of weeks.
Yeah, well, but think about even like a good movie. I mean, they just don't seem to make great stuff anymore.
Yeah, the Top Gun Maverick was the best one I've seen recently, and that was a while back. So yeah, you're right. They're hard to find.
That was pretty awesome, right? I mean, there's so much stuff out there now, and I don't know if it's watered down or just harder to find. I mean, there are some cool shows that I've seen, but even just stuff you can watch as a family. I mean, that's difficult. Um, but hey, we've got a guest today, Tanya Christiansen, and dude, she is a great actress, and she typically makes these types of shows and films that's just great for the whole family and really entertaining and inspiring at the same time. And we're lucky to have her on the podcast today. I think people are going to learn a lot from her.
Oh yeah, she's got a lot of inspiring things to say. I mean, she motivates me, and some of the things that she's been through. It's pretty amazing, really. Some of what she does, and she's been in a lot of stuff. I mean, you probably haven't heard of her name, but she's been in a lot of projects, commercials. She's a host on Home Shopping Network for multiple products, and so she's just an amazing lady. And yeah, it was great talking with her, getting to know her a little bit more.
Yeah, it's such a professional. I've worked with her a couple times, and it's just amazing, man, when you see somebody who is a professional in something. You give her a line to read, and boom, there it is. I mean, it's just perfect.
Oh
On the
yeah.
first take, and she's really honed in her craft quite a bit, which she'll talk about on the podcast. I think the really cool thing, the theme you want to listen for here, the thing that's important in life in every aspect is just grit. And you would say, she's 5 foot of grit. I mean, you think of all the rejection that you have to go through when you're trying out and for different parts and
Oh yeah.
people being sort of brutal with you the way you look or just whatever it is. I mean, you got to have some tough skin and have a lot of grit for this.
I mean, that's what I got out of most of it for me was it was just dealing with what people call failure and rejection like that. But she just takes it in stride. She's learned how to deal with it and put it beside her. She kind of knows that it's a step to where she wants to go. It's just a stepping stone. She has to go through that to get to her goals. And the way she focuses on her goals and just overcomes those obstacles and those hardships, that was great for me. I loved it.
Yeah, yeah, just short-term memory, you know what? So she doesn't get a part, so move on, go to the next one, right? So you don't get a job, move on, go to the next one. There's plenty of opportunity out there. I'll tell you this too. She is I've met some famous people. I'm not name dropping or anything, but the thing that I always thought of is how different their public persona is from their personal persona.
Yeah.
Tanya's cool, man. I mean, what you see is what you get. I mean, she's super sweet, great to work with. And just, it's really cool to see because you think of these movie stars as just being very pretentious and people you don't want to be around with. She's a cool chick.
Right. She was a lot of fun in the background. We were getting set up and doing all that. We were just joking around. We were having some technical difficulties and just having some fun with it. So she was great with that. And she, she wasn't like a diva or whatever, like you might think. But so you're exactly right on that, Jim. And it was fun. So and when the listeners out there just pay attention to what she talks about when she submits some video auditions and how what she does at the end of those. It was interesting to me. So I'll just let you listen for that during the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the podcast, Tim and I are getting better. We talked about this all the time. We're going to make this intro a little shorter than our other one, but I was a little scatterbrained that day. So it was all over the place. Hopefully you follow along. Listen, that's just what we said, bias towards action. We get in, we do it. We'll get better and better at this. And I think it was good overall.
Oh yeah, it's a great interview. The other thing, she's awesome at balancing the 6 F's that we talk about. She took time to deal with her family and then, back and forth. So yeah, just listen for that too. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, very cool. All right, everyone, here's Tanya Christiansen.
All right, enjoy.
All right, everybody, we have a big movie star here today. We have Tanya Christiansen. I pronounced that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I hope so. Okay. We've known each other for a little bit, so
Yeah.
it's been awesome to get to know you. And I've been teasing Tanya. She's really humble about her celebrity, but the truth is, you've been in a lot of things. You've been doing this for a while, right?
I have.
Yeah. When did you got started in high school?
I got started, I was a little girl. I always wanted to be an actor, an actress. So whenever anyone would say, you know how you say to little kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? I
Yeah.
was always an actress. And then my mom never knew what to do with me because I lived in a very small town in Virginia. So I would do anything I can get my hands on: church plays, school plays, community theater. And then I guess when I was in college, I kind of just went for it.
You
When I
went for it.
graduated, my first job was as a shopping host on a shopping network.
So you went to college.
In Tennessee, University of Tennessee.
Yeah, we won't. Yeah, we still like you, but
Now Jim's not a fan anymore.
there's
Sorry.
some orange there. But okay, so you went to college, but what I'm fascinated about is you said your mom didn't know what to do with you. Were they trying to get you to be an accountant or do something more practical? Or
My mom was very successful in the insurance industry.
okay,
And she said, it's just about connection. And, making that connection, you would be great at it. And I was like, I can't.
you're not wanting that. Yeah,
I just,
yeah.
this is what I want to do. So it was very hard for me to pick a major. And she was like, just pick something.
Just anything, right? Anything.
Just
yeah.
graduate.
Yeah, I think
Took
we
me
hear that a
5
lot.
years because when I finally chose something, I also decided I want a business minor to go with it, just to back up. So it's not because it took me 5 years because I wasn't doing well. I just threw in a business minor on top of my major.
Oh, great. Okay. So, and your major ended up being what?
I majored in consumer sciences. It was kind of like marketing. I thought maybe I wanted to be a buyer
Gotcha.
because I just didn't know how I was going to be.
So it wasn't
actor.
the actress or
No.
theater deal.
It was
So-
always in the back.
okay.
Always.
Always in the back,
But
and you were doing stuff in
I
college.
was just trying to get real practical. And when I was
Okay.
in college, I started doing just movies and extra stuff and 5 and unders whenever I'd see anything in the paper. And
What's a 5 and under? What is
Yeah, I
that?
was going to ask that too.
5 lines and under.
Oh, 5 lines. and
Yeah,
under.
a 5 and under is
Oh,
you have
okay.
5 lines or
Okay.
under. It's a little more than a background. You still
yeah.
have to audition for it. It's the
I thought
waitress that says, "Can I get you anything else?"
Uh,
Oh.
You know?
I thought
mean,
you had to
that's-
play like a
yeah.
kindergartner or younger. That's what I was saying.
Tanya, we're gonna go into your background a little bit, but that's sort of one of the reasons I wanted to have you on here today. Is just sort of knowing what your calling is, having the courage to do that, and just sort of the perseverance that you go through that. So that's sort of going to be the theme today, because I think that'll help a lot of people. I talk to people all the time. I talked to a lady yesterday. She got to that proverbial age in the business world where you get to be
Yeah.
45, and then all of a sudden
It gets hard.
nobody wants you anymore.
Yeah,
And they
the
don't,
phone-
they don't. Yeah.
Slows down.
Well, and for any business, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
she wanted to go into consulting, and she's all nervous about it. And I said, the only thing you're going to regret about this is that you didn't do
You
it
didn't
sooner.
try.
Well, and you didn't try, and you didn't do it sooner. When
Oh.
you look back on it 5 years,
But that, unfortunately, we can't go back.
yeah,
So you can
Right.
only go forward, and you can only say, why didn't I try it? To me, that's the only regret, because I can't go back and say, I wish I did it sooner.
Right.
I can't.
exactly.
So
Right.
the only thing I can do now is say, don't look in the rearview mirror, look straight ahead,
Yeah.
and keep going. If this is if this is your passion and this is what you want, go for it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so that sounds really easy for people. Like, I think from the outside, someone's
Yeah.
looking in, they're like, "Oh, yeah, that's easy for you. That's easy, for you to say." But I mean, that does take a little bit of courage to do, right?
It takes a lot of courage, and
It-
maybe it's just stubbornness.
Yeah, and stubbornness. And so, for me, and I'm gonna, I want to go into your background a little bit more, but we're gonna get into some things that'll help people with that. I've got a book here that you tried to steal from me before. I had to pull out of your hands. That I'm going to
I
share with
recognized
everybody.
the author.
Yeah,
And I was
well,
like, wait a minute, I know
you're
him.
blowing all the surprises. So let's just go over
Yeah.
a quick bit of your resume. And I know for a resume for actors and actresses, is it IMBD or something
IMDb.
like that? Okay. So you got a bunch of stuff on there. You've got some television shows.
Yeah.
You have some movies. You had one I just watched recently, The Mulligan. Is that right?
Aw, did
Yeah.
you like that?
Yeah. No, I thought it was
Yeah.
awesome. I thought it was
Thank
really
you.
cool. So saw that. I think it's on Prime. Right?
Did you watch it twice, Jim? You have to watch that movie twice.
The Mulligan.
Yeah, it's a
What am I
do-over.
missing there?
Oh, you're not
it's
a
a
golfer.
do-over. Okay,
Yeah.
so the first time.
You can't like
That's
after you
right.
get done, you go, wait a minute, you got to yell mulligan to watch it again.
That's right.
You know what? It's worth watching a couple times. There's
Yeah.
some things that are in there that it's good.
Yeah.
Good for you.
That's
to
a lot
see.
funnier if you play golf. So.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually had to look up the term. My husband had to tell me he plays golf, and I was like, "What is this?" Because
The
I'm just,
mulligan.
yeah,
You know,
I do
somehow
love
when I play, so a mulligan's the whole deal. Like if you have a bad shot, you get to take it over again.
and we
Yeah.
did it as just a do-over in life.
And sometimes I think when Tim and I play golf, it's like a mulligan on each hole.
That's okay.
I should probably do a mulligan on that comment earlier on the mulligan. So
You know, I'll tell a quick story. I don't want to take away from Tanya, but I actually I'm like a moderate golfer. I mean, I'll go out and hit around every once in a while. But I got to play the Masters course. What is it in Augusta? Which I guess is like the
I've
Holy
been there.
Grail,
It's beautiful.
right?
Oh, wow,
yeah, you were
yeah.
probably there for the movie. So I got to play on there one time, and I mean, I'm like, grip it and rip it type of guy. And I went out and I got lessons and I practiced, and my whole deal was not to make an ass out of myself.
Mhm.
So I went out 3 days in a row and I hit balls, and it came to the day to play, and I got up out of bed and I couldn't move. I was just
So sore.
every muscle in my body was just, I was like,
Your back.
walking around like the elephant man, and long story short, I get up to the hole, and it's intimidating as it can be.
Sure.
And you have about 8 people looking at you. Everyone has a caddy and everything. And the member who invited me said, "All right, Jim, go start
Step
us
up.
off, right? Step up." And so I come running up. I'm the first guy, and I'm at a tee, and I'm sort of like some people are probably too young to remember the Honeymooners with the Ralph Norton. Was it the Norton thing where he's, "Hey, you ball," addressing the ball. I've got a million things going through my head, right? Elbow straight,
Everything.
eyes down,
Yeah.
don't move your head. Well, I get the best hit of my life. I mean, I hit this thing, man. It's the best shot I've ever had in my life.
Ever.
And my chest just, all of a sudden I'm like, I'm walking around like
Yeah.
I'm a stud, and I turn around and I'm thinking to myself, that's the way you do it, boys. Just like that.
Oh no.
And then the member comes up and he puts his arm around me and goes, "That's all right, Jim. You take a mulligan on that one." And my whole ego just went, I just shrunk down to and it was in my head the rest of the day.
Of
I
course
hit
it
the next
was.
ball and it goes
That's
off in the
great.
woods. And I think I picked up my ball
Bless
out
your
of,
heart.
like out of 10. 10 out of the 18 holes, because,
Like
it was horrific. But
That was his strategy all along, to mess you up, getting your head early.
the guy's like 80 years old. He's talking smack to me, man. And everyone's taking bets on you on the side. All of the caddies and stuff, and then of course, I'm trying to be humble, and I'm like, "Yeah, if you guys got any advice, give it to me." And now I got 10 guys telling me, what to do. But
That's a tough sport.
oh yeah,
It takes a lot of
Yeah.
mental concentration.
well, it's mental toughness, practice,
Yeah.
money, all
It's
that stuff.
yeah,
So
all of
I'm
it.
too hyper for that.
Yeah.
My favorite golf story is when we went with your buddy in Georgia. We never met, and I wore that visor that had the fake hair, and and it looked pretty. And about the third hole, right when I was getting ready to drive, I just said, "Hey, hold my hat for a second." I pulled it off, and he's like, "Holy smoke!" That was awesome.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
It was. Okay, so back to Tanya. Not about us. All right, I just had to.
No,
I had
those
to
were
take
good.
that.
I
That's
liked it.
That's a pretty good story. So yeah, you've done all these things, and you've got a new thing coming out too, right?
I do.
It's called County Rescue.
Mhm.
It's on Great American Family.
Yes.
Okay, which I love that station.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. I pretend like my wife likes all those movies, but to me, it's just nice to
It's nice
right?
to be able to have a movie that you can, or television show, or just anything that you can watch with the entire family, from your young children to your grandma. And it's just good quality
Yeah.
TV.
You don't get stressed out. People say, I know what's going to happen. It's like, okay, I do know
it's
what's going to happen.
okay.
Yeah, it's fun.
I don't, sometimes, I like predictability as comfort, and it's just good.
So let's take your path here again. So you're in college, you get all these great degrees, and you end up in...
What I did as soon as I graduated, back in the day, because I'm old, you look through the paper.
She's old. She's not old.
I'm old.
She's not old.
That's what I always say. I'm just older.
Yeah. You're more seasoned as...
Yeah, spicy.
Okay, there you
Seasoned
go.
and
All right,
spicy.
good.
But you would look through the paper
Uh-huh.
for a job, and there was a tiny little ad, and it said on-air talent wanted.
Hmm.
And this was before caller ID, and I was like, okay, this could be really cool, or this could be really bad. Like, bad. And I'll just hang up if it's bad. And it turned out to be for a shopping network, and it was one of the original owners of QVC, had sold all of his stock in the company and started his own network called Via TV. So I
Okay.
went and auditioned.
Yeah.
They had me sell a number 2 pencil, and I got the job.
Really?
And I did that for 3 years.
Okay.
Wow.
And then it went bankrupt.
And then it went
Oh,
bankrupt.
wow.
Yeah, I was like, I don't
Dang.
remember hearing that. So.
And then
They
it went
probably
under,
should have sold
and-
more than pencils.
Yeah, I sold a lot more.
Yeah, that market for number 2
number
pencils.
2, number
They
10s,
should have
number
maybe
8s.
got into number 1s or something at least, right?
Hey, sir, I've done a good job of these 2s. Can I go to number 3s now?
Maybe. I don't know. But I just did a lot of stuff in between. And when I moved, I've been with the Home Shopping Network in St. Petersburg for about 9 years now.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're on the air all the time now.
I
So
try to
people
be.
Can, people can go into Home Shopping Network
Anytime.
and see you.
Yeah.
For that. Okay. Is there a schedule? Can people like say, hey, when's Tanya on? I mean, how do
Not really. No, if you have a host,
Yeah.
like the host, and you're actually employed there. I have people. I work for the vendor, so I have 4 companies that I work
Okay, gotcha.
for.
So you got to know when those companies are on.
Yes, and it depends
Okay.
on when I'm scheduled. So Bear Paw Boots, which is a very seasonal, and then I'm back up for Miss Jacqueline Smith.
Oh, you are?
I am. I'll be on
Wow.
next week for her.
Oh, wow.
You Jackie Buds?
Yeah, I
Wow,
love her.
She's like
She's
ageless too, isn't she?
not only beautiful on the outside, but she is the kindest person.
Is she?
So nice.
That's
That's great.
super
And
cool.
I was a little intimidated because she's Jacqueline Smith.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
she could not be nicer. Very sweet, and she's just always saying, "I don't know how you do what you do. You're amazing." And I'm like, Jacqueline.
She's
Come
the
on.
original Charlie's Angel for
Yes.
our younger
Yeah.
viewers,
Right.
right?
She started off as
Mm-hmm.
a dancer, turned into a hair model, went into modeling and television, and now she's a designer. of
And she's a
course.
big entrepreneur too.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's amazing. So I back up for her, and then
Uh-huh.
I also do Easy Spirit, which is a great footwear brand. And I just try to stay over there. But just to answer your question, you can't. There's really no schedule.
So the vendors come and they hire you and you go out
That's right.
and you represent them
Yes.
for that.
That's
Yeah.
exactly
So
right.
that's cool.
That's harder than it looks too. When you see, you watch it, it looks, oh, you guys make it look so easy. You taught it.
Everyone, thank you. Everyone says, "Is there a script?" And it's
Nope.
no.
No.
You're just. They say, "Come on out here," and you just go right into it.
And
it's
you're
like
totally
TV,
improvising.
and
Yeah.
sometimes you say silly stuff, and you just laugh it off, and
Right.
sometimes something doesn't work, or a button pops off. I mean, it's life.
And you got somebody in your ear all the time.
I have someone in my ear. It's my director. He'll say, it's very minimal on my part. The host will have a lot kind of directing the show. With me, it's like camera 2, 30 seconds left.
Okay.
Let's go back to the models, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's not a script of any kind.
So here's what's cool, Tanya. It's this whole idea, you mess up on stage, you mess up on TV, so what, right? You keep going. I think so many people are afraid of this. Public speaking's like the number one thing. I'm gonna go ahead and switch because you probably have people saying, okay, get to the meat of this, Jim. Here's the cool thing, right? Is number one, I wanted to talk about, this sort of how you pursue your dreams of what you want to do. But let's talk about the grittiness too. I mean, you were telling me you go try out for some of these roles And, you know, everyone probably thinks, oh, well, she got her first thing and it's easy, you know. But, I mean, you have hundreds, if not thousands of people that go for these roles. Where I'm getting at with that is you get told no a lot. You get a lot of rejection.
I'm rejected every day.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
Tim knows
Me
that
too.
from his
Yeah.
high school dating days.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Tim, I feel it, man.
That's
get
true.
you.
I can feel, I know how that is.
But Tim had the same strategy. If you ask enough girls out, eventually one of them
Eventually,
will go
one will
out
say
with you,
yes.
right? So,
That's right. Exactly.
but tell us about the rejection, how you deal with that.
You know, when you have a job interview, you prepare and you prep and you try to really learn as much as you can about the company, and that's nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
I interview every single day, and I get told no almost every single day. It used to be, I think the percentages were lower because a lot of you either lived in LA or New York, maybe Chicago if you were in theater. But now with the advancement of Zooming and technology, you can live anywhere, and that's the beauty of being able to do my job from anywhere. But it also opened up the door to so many people.
Yeah.
So now I got a job as in a film back in, I guess, 2019, and I heard 2,000 people went out for my part.
2,000 people.
2,000.
My gosh. Wow.
So I used to be like, what am I not doing? And then I had to realize as long as I'm prepared and I'm confident in how I researched the role and developed my character, once I put the audition down, I just hit submit and I have to walk away. Because it could be, once I was really close for this one part and I looked up the lead and it looked like we could almost be twins. You can't have two
people looking the same way.
We were the same age.
There's
same
so many
height.
things that are out of your control, right?
So many things.
Oh, yeah.
So it's so much stuff. Is it schedule? Is it, I'm too short. The lead actor is 6'5". I'm only 5'1".
Yeah.
They'd have to,
Wow.
oh wait, they'd have to do the master shot.
Yeah, exactly.
They'd have to
with a
Tom
super
Cruise you.
wide camera, or there are just a lot of things that are beyond me.
Yeah.
Maybe there's someone they're shooting in Atlanta and the budget only allows for a local actor. And I, at the time, can't financially put myself up for a month.
Yeah, because I don't think people realize that. I mean, you got to go on set for
Yes.
a long time, and you got to put yourself up. Is that what you're saying for some of the
No.
roles, or
No, but sometimes things are local hire.
okay?
So, and what that means, or a modified local, means they'll put you up, but you have to get yourself there. Sometimes they'll get you there, but you have to put yourself up. And if it's a larger budget, they fly you in, they put you up, you have a driver, it's nice. But some of the smaller things, you've got to get yourself there and put yourself up.
Yeah, so that's not an easy gig, right? I mean, you certainly don't have a lot of security in that. But what keeps you going? I mean, what's the grittiness there? I mean, are some of those things just inherent in you, or are some of them just self-taught? I mean, after a while, I mean, what, for the regular person that's listening, they're in sales or they're interviewing for a job or whatever.
They always say, do what you love and the money will find you. And sometimes you can say, I've been doing what I love for 40 years. Where's the money? Where are the opportunities? Yeah. So I'm a very optimistic person, just naturally.
Yeah.
But I'm also realistic. So that's why I knew that this is always what I wanted to do, but then I had a degree.
Yeah.
There's always that backup plan, but I never give up on my dream.
Yeah.
This is what's been in me, like little kids that say they want to be pilots. Well, they may not work for Delta, but they may get their license.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
That's good.
Optimistic. I think I will work until I choose to not to. But I'm realistic in the fact that I don't necessarily see me getting the big golden statue. I mean, come on. I don't ever see me and Meryl hanging out on Wall Street.
Well, we could go into Hollywood culture sometime. It's interesting to me that you're away from that, but yeah.
And it changes. So if for some reason I'm not being offered roles anymore, I can still be here and talk to you. I do voiceover work, a lot of infomercial work. I've read books on tape before. I'm doing home shopping.
Yeah.
So there's always a different way to do what you love. Sometimes you just have to stay on the path, but your path may be a little windy.
Yeah, I think that's important. It doesn't have to be. I think we look at things a lot of times like it's binary, right? I either, I either do this, become an actress, or or musician or
Yeah.
whatever, or I do this other thing, right? It's one or the other.
Right.
And the truth is, it doesn't need to be binary, right? If you
100%.
if you're working in a 9-to-5 job, which you hate, or maybe you don't hate it, but you just want to be an entrepreneur. Well, there's side gigs that you can get started. There's things you can do on the side to start moving in that direction, right? I mean, you can have. I mean, you hear a lot of times from all these, these rah people, about, oh, you got to cut the line and burn the boats and all that stuff.
And again, that's easier for those people to say because you can't always walk away. You've got a mortgage and 3 kids in college.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not so easy just to walk away, but if you stay realistic, but there's always a way to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Like
So-
I love running. I've been a runner always. And in my yearbooks, my friends would say, see you at the Olympics.
Oh, very
I could,
cool.
well, I never made the Olympics.
Yeah.
But I did run the New York City Marathon,
Did
the
you?
Paris, France
You go,
Marathon.
girl. Wow.
Wow.
I signed up, I trained for it, and I did it.
Really? You're
Yeah.
still doing that now?
Well, not because I'm older.
You got to get rid of the older thing.
I'm a
We're sitting here
walker.
telling
It's
people
my
that
neck.
are limited based on their age. I played softball with 96-year-old guys.
So,
right?
but now I love to walk fast. Like my
You like
neck
to walk
doesn't like
fast.
running. My chiropractor's
Yeah.
like, you've got to stop this.
Yeah. Only if a dog's chasing me is when that's my normal
Yeah.
normal rule for running.
Yeah.
Swimming's good though. I mean, if
Swimming's
you-
great.
If you get in the
I used to
swim.
be on the swim team.
Oh, you were? Okay. You still do that now or?
No.
No. Okay.
I swim to get across the pool
Okay.
to get my margarita.
Yeah. To get your margarita. Okay. So
There
you
you
do
go.
have balance. Okay.
No, I'm just joking.
I only run if I trip. It's like a 3-step run. That's kind of how I do that. Yeah.
Just to catch your balance.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And it's always really very graceful. Very graceful. So yeah.
But there's always a way to do what you love.
Yeah.
I was just curious, like when you say there's always a way. I know, like early on, when you're trying to, you're scraping, you're doing these auditions, you got to support yourself in some ways. Where you know, what kind of crazy jobs did you work? That just anything to make money to keep the dream alive.
Mhm. Gosh, what? Just a scrape by job?
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Like waiting tables or anything like that. Did you have any of those?
Well,
to
I
keep
did wait
everything going?
tables for 4 years. I've done
Yeah.
substitute teaching
Oh yeah.
because the beauty of substituting is you just log on. If you can do it that day, you do it. There's no commitment, and then you can
Right.
walk away. So that's kind of. But I've done a lot of those type of things. I've been very blessed to just work, and I'm very good at my finances. I'm not a big spender, and if I do, I'm just responsible.
So you have a plan. You're intentional
good,
about
yeah.
all this stuff, obviously.
yes,
Right?
yes.
So we talk about that a lot on this show, about
And I
having
hustle,
to
and I
be
don't
intentional
stop.
about things, right? And you
Mhm.
hustle, hard work ethic, right? Good work ethic.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do not say no.
Yeah. Well, that's good, right?
I mean, I don't.
The funniest thing I see is sometimes I'll interview people or I'll talk to younger people and a recruiter calls them and they said, oh, I said no. And I'm like, well, do you know what it's about?
Yeah.
Have you even looked into it
Yeah.
to see? Right?
100%. Or I have friends that'll say I don't do commercials, and I'm like, why? They pay
Right.
great, and you work one day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no commitment. It's a commercial, and I understand not wanting to be a commercial actor. Everyone has the dreams of the golden statue,
Yeah.
but come on.
Yeah, you see that in sports a lot, right? You see these parents with these kids that
Just-
are, my kid's going to be a professional baseball player. Probably not.
Because how
Yeah.
many people are on a basketball team?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you look at the
7.
stats. So, it sounds like, I mean, all of us have had some success here, and it's not, being a downer telling people not to do things. It's just you got to be intentional and manage how you do things to get there, and it doesn't just happen overnight,
No.
right? But making that commitment is a good thing, and I'll tell you, the one thing for me, like when I left corporate world and went out on my own, and you did have some of that pressure on there, on me. Your mindset shifts when you commit to something, right? And so it used to be I'd be at a corporate gig, and we'd start a venture there, and I'm like, this just isn't going to work,
Yeah.
And you'd see you would see some things, from a business perspective, just strategy, numbers, different things, and you're like, this just isn't going to work. We need to close it down. When you're on your own, you don't have that option.
You don't have the choice. You have to make it
right.
work.
So your mindset changes, and instead of saying it's not going to work, you're going to say, well, how am I going to do this? How's this going to work out? And your mind opens up. You become much more creative. You think of things you never would have thought of before. You learn to be more resourceful. Networking, I'm sure networking is a big thing in your deal, right? I mean, you have
to network, and then you have to nurture those relationships too, because it can get very, just like business, very schmoozy.
Yeah.
And I can't stand that.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to become. I don't want to. Inauthentic.
Yeah.
Become friends with someone for something, and I'm not going to do that. I really believe in relationships, and then fostering those relationships to friendships. And if there's an opportunity and I fit into that, I'd like the opportunity to explore that. But if there's not, I get it. No hard feelings.
I tell young people a lot, and I sound like the old man here now, but they'll look at different schools, and some of them are like, I want to do this online, and I'm like, no, you don't do things online. You go to a classroom, you go to a school. We were looking at my daughter's school. My daughter's a Florida Gator, which is different than your Tennessee Volunteers, but there's some jokes we can go back and forth.
I am so sorry.
Sorry, I don't know why you'd be sorry. I tell people there's only 49
My daughter
states
goes to
in the
FSU.
country. Okay. I tell people there's only 49 states in the country because Florida owns Tennessee. We'll get some backlash on that. But,
We knew that was coming. Yep.
Yeah. But I purposely had her go to Florida, even though I'm a big University of South Florida guy, because
It's
they're
great school.
networking.
Yeah.
I mean, when they say it's the Gator Nation, it's the Gator freaking nation, right? So you go meet people, you network, you keep those relationships. The businesses that I have going on right now are relationships that I had 40 years ago, where we've met in college, right? Maybe not 40 years. I'm not that old. But
Probably 45.
yeah, probably. I'm always younger than Tim, which is good. Even though Tim's looking good, man. He's looking much younger than I am.
I'm still better looking than that. Yeah.
He has good lighting.
Tim's lost in the past, how many months, Timmy? We're going to do a whole podcast on this, but you've lost, what, 22 pounds?
I'm down 23 pounds in about a little over 9 weeks.
I'm thinking she's looking at you and saying, what do you
Yeah,
mean?
That's all? That's all you
I
lost?
never saw him before. He looks good.
But Tim did commit, and he did burn the boats. And I've been on him lately about getting some clothes that are a little smaller. And he actually had his belt the other day, and he cut 2 inches off of his belt. So there's no going back on that belt.
That's right. I'm throwing out the fat clothes. I've been
Do
throwing
it.
them out as I go. And
Because there's not an option to go back.
that's right.
There is
yeah.
no option, right?
Yeah.
There's no option to go back.
Right.
Good for you.
I mean, it kind of goes to what Tanya's doing. Like one of the things I'm thinking is about overcoming all that rejection you get, like you said, virtually every day. That's a tough way to live, but your goal and your dreams are bigger than that. This is my assumption. It's bigger than those rejections. So you're like, hey, this is just one more step to where I want to go. And you keep that in focus. Is that how you do it? Does that make sense?
Pretty much. I see every audition as just a chance to work on my craft.
Right.
So I don't see it as, I got to put this down. I don't have time.
Yeah.
Just give me the job already. If it's not, if I didn't get it, and I've really become just doing this so long, is like once I submit it, I really do walk away. I have some friends that I don't know why. I've watched it again. I don't know why. Have they cast it? Blah blah blah. And I'm like, just walk away. Focus on the next one.
That's smart.
You have to, or you'll go crazy. And you'll wonder, what did I do? So you really have to just move on and focus on tomorrow. And that's what I do.
Yeah,
You
that's
keep
great.
going. Yeah,
You just keep
I got to
going.
remind myself, and sometimes that's a conscious thing. I've got I think we all have trigger buttons. Mine's stupid people in traffic and being rude.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
times where I'm
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
I'm ready
We
to
all-
just,
We all have the
strangle
stupid people
people.
traffic.
And it's like, I'm
problems.
3 hours later in the day and I'm still pissed off. It's like, Jim,
Yeah.
you got to let this go, right?
He's
gotta-
usually on the phone with me when that happens. He's just and I'm like, all right. He's like,
Tim
you
was
won't,
laughing all
you
the-
won't believe this guy in front of me right now. Yeah. Hey guys, it's time for a potty break. Well, actually, you might want to hold it because you're not going to want to miss what's coming up.
If you're going to win in life, you must have a plan. Benjamin Franklin said people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. At Financial Advisor On Call, we create winning plans so people can plan to win. Get started today and have a whole team of financial professionals help you with your personalized financial plan. Don't delay, your future awaits.
And now, the Grumpy Old Man's Guide to Etiquette.
So, Timmy, in the grumpy old man rant today, I've got something I want to bring up.
All right, here we go.
It's called acknowledgement. It's amazing to me, man. You
What'd
go
you say?
into stores today. Exactly. Acknowledgement.
Oh,
You go into stores, especially it seems like restaurants, and there's nothing worse. Like I went up to the counter the other day, and there's 5 people standing around, and they're all doing something else, and they won't even look at you, man. It's like you don't even acknowledge. I was at the bank later on, and
Yeah.
I went up to the counter, and the guy's just sitting there, sort of doing something else, not even looking at me. After he called me up, and I put my card in as you normally do, with this stuff. And he's like, I don't need the card yet. I mean, just like real snotty. And it's like,
yeah.
well, dude, acknowledge me and tell me what you what you want. Then I can't read your mind, man.
I don't have that problem because I think I'm a lot better looking than you. So people
Well,
love to
I
see
think
me.
people sort of see you as a threat if you do that. They think,
Yeah.
well, this guy, oh crap, this guy's gonna rob the bank or stranger danger or something if you come up. But
if I come up, yeah.
yeah, yeah, I mean that gets your attention, man. If you come up, it scares the hell out of people. But just working in retail, it's like people don't get trained anymore, man. And you can have, I used to own a retail store. I grew up sort of doing that stuff, but you can have 20
Yeah.
people waiting in line that are upset. But at least if you acknowledge them and say, "Hey, I see you. I'll be right with you. Thanks for coming in."
Yeah, just
So
a little,
Timmy, in the
little
grump,
empathy, understanding where you're coming from. Like, hey, I've been there. We'll get right to you. Thanks for coming in. How hard is that?
no, not ignoring or going down. God forbid you go to, Home Depot
What'd
or
you
Lowe's
say?
these days. And it was like, Walmart was able to just come over
Oh.
and take over the world. And of course, when their founder passed away, Sam Walton, it's gone downhill a little bit. But, they had that Walmart greeter that would come in there and you felt great. And, it's not rocket science, man. Just acknowledge people, right?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it usually the greeter had a sign on their walker said "Welcome in." So there you go.
All right. So today's etiquette lesson, everybody, just acknowledge people. Say hello. Be nice.
Yeah,
There you go.
just wave.
Hey, this is Jim. I want to thank you for listening. And if you like the show, which we know you did, or you wouldn't have made it this far, please subscribe, give us an awesome rating, and invite a friend. And if you have any wisdom to share, would like to be on the show, or simply advertise, please visit our website and contact us as soon as possible so that you can contribute to the CY6 community as well.
I just like that, not taking that rejection personally and just knowing it's a step. And I love the way you do that because I don't know, rejection's tough for all of us. It's tough for me. It'd be hard to deal with that every day, I think.
The good thing is I don't see it.
That's true.
I don't see it. It would be on me to, if I stayed focused on it, and that's about me having to walk away. But that is the good thing of just the technology is once it's submitted, I don't see the rejection. I'm not in the room where they're like, absolutely
Right.
not.
That's
Who
You
does
don't
she
get the
think?
Simon Cowell
I don't-
rejection.
yeah.
Or,
yeah.
I don't have
Yeah.
to see it, and I'm good at walking away from it. And that only comes from doing this for so long. And I
Yeah,
did
that's
step
awesome.
away for a while when I had my kids. They became more important than this.
yeah,
They were way more important
put
than
things in
just
perspective.
yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
And it was
you did
time for
that.
me to step away also because There was a time in my late 20s I would walk in and there would be a table and everyone's sitting there and they'd up and down you.
They just look up and down and just scrutinizing everything.
Just everything.
That's great.
And when you're in your 20s.
Yeah, that's how I feel like when I go to the gym.
You feel you're the eye candy, Tim.
Yeah, exactly.
Now he's getting cocky with all the.
It wasn't up and down in a good way.
Oh, okay, no, they're up and down. Like, what is this guy doing here? He's obviously never been here
That's
before.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it got a little hard.
Yeah, that would be hard.
That's just being a female and being in your 20s, and then after a while you just get over
Well,
it.
just so you know, guys feel the same way. They just hide it better.
Yeah, probably.
So
sure.
no, they do. Yeah, I tell people, the sooner, and some of this just comes, you get rejected. It's easier and easier, right? It's like I had this one job where I was a phone rep for a mutual fund company, and I got a promotion.
Mm-hmm.
And the promotion means you get all of the bad calls when people are pissed off.
Nothing.
The whole day I would take calls, and it was just somebody pissed off. Somebody screaming at me,
Not the
telling me how
leads.
idiot I am, how bad our company is, and all this stuff. And
It's hard.
and at first I wanted to go home and kick the dog every day, and then after a while, it's just sort of you build up a tolerance to it. You sort of have to go through that process. Within a year it'd be like, I know I'm the biggest jerk there is. Yeah, I know our company sucks. Yeah. Okay. Do you want to solve your problem?
Yeah.
And at some point, you
Right.
sort of need that. It's sort of like as parents, and my kids will roll their eyes, but I try not to make life easy on them.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to have some tough things, and
Mm-hmm.
my wife will come home and say, "Oh, someone's bullying, our kid," and I'm like, "That's all right, that's okay." That it's not going to hurt them. It's going to make them tougher,
and let him figure out how to deal with that.
let them help figure out how to deal with it, right? You give them guidance and stuff,
Sure.
but right, you got to have some.
Because the bullying doesn't stop in school. You'll be at work, and you're going to have the work bully, or you're going to have the guy that pulls out in front of you, the driving
That's
bully.
right,
There's always someone that's just going to make your life miserable, and
Yeah.
you just have to.
That's really cool how resilient you are, though. And I think that's and that's the other thing. I was writing notes here about not being too cool to be a fool, right? So, like, you're on a home shopping network, you screw up in front of a bunch of people. I do speeches. I'll have 1,000 people in a speech, and it's like, okay,
It took
you're
a
not
while, though.
perfect.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect.
I used to have this rash that I was never a public speaker, very shy when I was little.
Really?
And I got over the shyness.
Yeah.
But it was that. And I will tell you, like, this is fine. But if I were to ever have to go up in front of a bunch of people and be me
Mm-hmm.
and give a speech, let's say, I don't know. I used
If
to.
you had to be out of character, if you had to be the authentic. So you sort of use that character as sort of a little bit of a shield in a sense.
If I just had to be me and give, it would be more difficult.
Yeah.
It would be.
That's interesting. So, well, here's the thing. You said you got over the shyness, right?
Yeah,
So how did you get over the shyness, though, right?
You
did
one
it,
day I was like, this isn't serving me.
but you had to do it through. You had to push yourself, get out of your comfort
Absolutely.
zone.
Well, I
right?
realized I was little, middle school,
Mhm.
probably, and then I was like, this is going nowhere. I'm gonna have to just pay. Have to just do it.
Yeah. You just have to
Yeah, wow.
just do it, right?
It takes courage to do that because you're basically overcoming a fear, so you have to push through that. So that's awesome.
I mean, I couldn't even go to McDonald's and ask for extra ketchup. My mom would be like, just go get your ketchup.
oh wow.
Oh God.
I couldn't even.
Well, look how far you've come, though, which is awesome. So I think people often think, well, people are just born that way,
No.
right? And they're things you work on, and you do it
Yes.
time after time after time. Again, it's being intentional. I used to have a real hard time public speaking, and I get paid for public speaking now, right? And I've got no problems with it.
Yeah.
But the challenge for me was I was such a perfectionist that if I made any mistake at all, then it's like, oh my gosh, people are going to know I'm not perfect, right? But once I was able to keep going through that, and you screw up a couple times,
I think
and
they
you're
like you better if you mess up, because no one doesn't mess up.
Yeah.
So when you mess up, people can almost relate to you more.
And a lot of times they don't even realize it. I mean,
Most
you're
of the time they
100
don't
times tougher on yourself. I'm sure you do scenes and you're like, man, that sucked.
all the time.
And then you go back and you watch it and you're like, that's pretty good. I'm pretty good at this thing.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you, hey, that's a great thing, Tanya. How do you turn off like your internal critic while you're in the midst of doing a scene or something and you're thinking, oh, I just messed up there, but you got to keep rolling? How do you deal with that? Have you techniques or anything?
Let's see. I usually just jump right in to my character and I just go for it. What throws me, and different actors are different, some people will watch their replay. And in a way, I think replays are great because you can say, oh gosh, the whole time I was doing this and I need to turn my body.
Mm-hmm.
Or, so in a way it's good, but in a way it can almost get in your head. And it's like, why is my eye doing that? Why do I over enunciate? Why? And then you change it and then you get caught.
Yeah.
So when they say, do you want to see the playback? I usually say, unless there's something we want to address, I'm good. Because that's where I can get caught up. And it's usually in my voice, my appearance, superficial stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
That just,
which isn't nearly as bad as what you think.
no.
So.
Right. Most people don't notice it. Right. Yeah. I've struggled with that because, I'll be doing something and talking, or I've tried some stand-up comedy and mostly doing stand-up, but the part of it, but
It's hard.
you start saying things and then you start criticizing yourself on the back part of your brain. You're still trying to, and it just screws you up, and you can't be relaxed, and you can't carry on if you're worrying about that.
And then your mind goes blank.
Right. Yeah. You have to fight it. You push it out.
It's a whole snowball.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing a scene once where the camera was behind me and it was on everyone else. I did it perfectly, like 10 times. Then they turn the camera around. Now it's my turn.
Yeah.
And it's on a dolly and it's coming straight down. There's an auditorium full of people and I can see the camera and everything just disappeared. It was like a whiteboard. All the lines in my head disappeared.
Oh, man.
And then I hear reset and the camera goes back, the auditorium full of extras. And I go, just a second. And I walked around back. I said, you're going to stop doing that. And I know that
self-talk.
the audio guy was like, man, this girl's crazy. I go, you're going to stop it. You're going to get your act together. Stop it.
I love that.
And then I go, I'm ready.
That's great.
And it
That's
didn't
awesome,
happen
man.
again.
I think that's so important, though, the self-talk.
I said, you know this? You are prepared?
Yeah.
Stop it.
They're good for you.
So I know they were just listening, like, get a hold of, God, listen to her, giving herself a pep
It's
talk.
probably not as
behind-
bad as the times I've used the bathroom with the thing on, but
Yeah, I've done that too.
Yeah. I gotta remember to turn that thing off. But
Yeah.
it's sort of like if you go back to sports, that's a big difference. Especially, I'm a baseball guy, so it's the difference between a minor league player and a major league player is all the mental stuff. And a lot of times they say it's mental toughness. I have other athletes say, well, you want stupid guys because they just, they move on. But it really is, especially like I was a pitcher, right? So it's like you got someone hits a home run off you. You'll see the good pitchers, that next batter, I mean, they are just dialed in, they're thinking, okay, how do I get this guy out? And you just got to let it go. You're alive, right? It's not like, it's not the worst thing.
You see it all the time in
Nobody
sports.
remembers this stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Timmy, you did a lot of that with your stand up and your improv stuff. Tim probably has some stories we probably can't even share on this podcast with some of his.
Maybe. Yeah. Actually, improv was the best because in a way it's like a no-lose situation because you go out there, no one's expecting anything cool to happen. So when something great happens, it's hilarious and whatever works, and you're working with a team of people, so you're just bouncing off each other, and it's great. But if you screw up, you either incorporate it somehow, or you have fun with the screw up, you acknowledge it, just move on. And so it's a great way to like release those things, so you're not just
Improv is
going, "Oh my
great.
God, I screwed up." I mean, sometimes it leads to some of the best stuff.
And no matter what it is, whatever I do, whatever I see other successful people do, it's like you're gonna suck at stuff when you first try. You're gonna be bad at it.
You're not going to be good.
Yeah. I mean, you're just.
Well, look
you're
at
not,
Jim
right?
and us. Look at Jim and us right now. So
That's right. Look at the podcast. We're probably up to 10 listeners. We just had 8 of them turn off, but you get incrementally better and better and better.
You can't
right?
help but get better.
Yeah.
no matter what you do, no matter what you do,
Mm-hmm.
even if like I don't golf. But when I was shooting the Mulligan, I was 1 month in Toccoa, Georgia, and I had a lot of downtime because I'm a supporting part in that. And I would go to the driving range, and before I would hit and I would look for the ball. I was like, where the heck did it go?
Yeah.
You know where it was.
I,
It was right
I
where it
know
started.
exactly what. Yeah, you look down and it's still on the tee.
I was like, damn. Huh, okay.
See, and when you get really good, you pretend that like what you do is
It's just on purpose.
when you've done enough
Like,
of those, that was your practice,
practice
swing.
swing.
You don't even act
Yeah.
like you're really swinging at it. So
Just warming up.
By the end of the month, I could hit it almost straight. You know,
that's right.
you just have to if it's truly a passion, just keep your eye on that ball and just keep swinging, and you will hit the ball.
So let's transition to the passion. I sort of did this backwards, and I teased a little bit about this, but how do you know to go after your passion? So, like, I'm a guitarist. There's a million billion guitar players out there. They say the hardest thing to do on a guitar is not the Eddie Van Halen stuff, but to make money on a guitar, right? So, I mean, in a perfect world, we'd all want to be rock stars, right? But how do we know how to go after? I mean, for me, it's just like what you said. You got to love what you do. And Tim and I talk a lot, and it's like we don't even feel like we're working. I mean, we enjoy what we do, right? But how do you get the courage? I have a lead way into there, but just, hey, I know this is sort of my calling, right?
Mhm.
You just got to follow that. And you said you did that. You had a backup plan, but have you seen that? You've worked with a lot of actors. I'm sure you got a lot of other stories other than just your own where people are just like, hey, this is what I'm supposed to do.
And the ones that I work with are very good, and they work all the time. And if they're not working, then they're taking classes. And if they're not taking classes, they're reading about their craft. They listen to podcasts when they're exercising on the treadmill. It becomes almost an obsession, but in a good way. It's a drive just to get better and move forward. And if you find yourself, I have a friend that is just as passionate as I am, but unfortunately has never really booked anything.
Mm-hmm.
He just hasn't, for whatever reason. He does have a full-time job. He has a family, but he still auditions and tries. And even if it's something that's non-paid, he just enjoys it and he does it. So it's like if it's back to sports, you never became the basketball player, but I bet you could help your kids. I bet you can coach the team. Or whatever it is. If you're a writer, then you may not get a book published, or maybe you could vanity publish it.
Yeah.
There's always a way to do your dream. And again, maybe it's not going to pay the mortgage, but that doesn't mean you should give up on your dream. You should always do it, because I think that's the fuel in you that makes you want to wake up in the morning.
So here's my transition. So I think we inherently know, a lot of us, right? Because I'm around college kids all the time, and none of them know what their major is. But most of them, you talk to them, and they know what they really enjoy and what they want to do. They're just confused because they've heard all these things, and how do I make money, and so forth. But I think we all have a calling. I think most of us know what that calling is. If not, I mean, we need to be intentional about figuring it out. And then sort of have the courage for it. So the one thing that you were picking up earlier, I'm going to give you this book. This is Mark Batterson. It's called In a Pit with a Lion on a Snowy Day. Have you read this one?
I haven't.
Okay, so this was like, if this guy ever listens to the podcast, we need to get him on here somehow. So this book was very helpful for me because I knew I didn't like the corporate thing. I sort of didn't fit into the corporate deal. I just maybe did things a little differently and maybe ruffled some feathers because I actually wanted to get stuff done. One of the things in here, I won't ruin it for you. That's your gift.
I'm so excited.
And I'm going to sign it. Good. We're going to quiz you on it afterwards. So,
All right.
one of the things in there is it talks about, in whether, you're listening to this and whether you have a religious affiliation or not, but, God has these things. We always think of a sin as being a sin of commission, meaning that, hey, we know we're not supposed to steal. We know we're not supposed to cheat on our wife or go kill somebody. we don't do that. If we do that, that's a sin. Purposely, we're doing it.
Mhm.
But the thing that it had in there for me was there's sins of omission. And so that's when God's telling you, hey, I want you to go this direction. I want you to do this thing. This is what I've put in your heart.
Mhm.
And by the way, if you pay close enough attention, there's probably these little things that pop up that show you should be doing that, right? And you're just
All the
like,
time.
you're like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do it. Well, that's a sin of omission.
Uh-huh.
That's God telling you, hey, here's what I want you to do, dummy, right? And you're just you're
I
not
always
doing
say
it
the
because
signs are there.
yeah, they're
They're there,
always
and you know
there.
they're there.
You
because
know
you're
they're
like,
there. Yep. You know, somebody calls up and says, hey, do you do any consulting on the side? Or what do you know about this? And you're like, oh, yeah, you know, I mean, just little things
Yeah.
that you listen
I
to. I
agree
think
with you.
everybody thinks that the clouds part and God comes down and says something to you directly, right? Yeah. Yeah, but you know, I think God talks to us in different ways and gives us signs of stuff. And you know, I think when you follow that, and at some point you say, okay, well, hey, it's out of my hands. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. Sort of gives you a little bit of
Embrace it.
clarity, and you just sort of roll with it.
It's probably still on that same path. It's just like I said, it's just different.
Yeah.
You're going to get there. I mean, if it's truly in your heart and that's what you want to do, you will get there. You're just not going to go on the interstate there.
Yeah, and
You may
just
have to climb over a mountain.
exactly. And
I love
and
this.
just
That's so nice.
start it earlier. You know, I hear all these people, oh, one day. It's like, well, when the hell's the one day? You know, I don't want to name names. I had a couple people close to me who passed away, and it was always like, hated their job,
I know.
right?
I know.
I mean, they worked 30 years doing stuff they hated. And it's like, oh, when I retire, you know, then we'll
I
do
know.
this or whatever. And it's like, dude, you didn't make it there, right? And it's like, there's
I hate
nothing
those
worse
stories.
than having to do crap
Yeah.
that you don't want to do.
That
you
is
know?
awful.
And it's like, just start, do a baby step, right?
Mhm.
You don't have to, you know, you don't have to land the role today. Maybe you say, okay, let's go peruse or find out where we look for gigs,
Mhm.
right? That's the first step,
That's how you have to.
right?
You
Where do
have
you
to.
look for gigs like that? Is there, what do you get on Indeed.com or something? Or
I have an agent in Atlanta,
Yeah.
one in Louisiana, one in Los Angeles. So the good stuff
yeah,
will come from your agent.
okay,
But there's a lot of work out there. And even for people that are listening that are interested in my industry, you may think, gosh, I've always wanted to do that.
yeah,
How fun.
Yeah.
How'd you get into that? Well, there's so much background work, as you probably know, just being in improv and comedy. Sometimes it's paid, sometimes it's not paid. Sometimes they'll throw you $100 and a free pizza or something. But some people say if you want to be an agent first, be an actor, first thing you need is a headshot or an agent or classes. I always say, there are Facebook groups, get on set, be a background actor. They're essential to the scene. Do you want to work a 12-hour day in the cold? Did you like it? Was there a fire in there? Or were you like, again, no, that's a lot of waiting around. It's not for me.
yeah,
It looks
Yeah.
more glamorous. But if you're like, God, I loved it. I loved being on that set.
yeah,
I want to do that.
uh huh,
Then take that next step and throw yourself in a class. Done that for a little bit. Talk to your friends in school and reach out to an agent. Then everything's a baby step.
yeah.
Find out if you really want to do it first.
So how do you reach out to an agent? Somebody's like, Tim's all looking great now, and
Oh, he does look so good. He looks
Thank you, thank
sharp. And Tim says, "Hey, I can do this deal."
What
I
I
hope my
would
wife.
do
I hope my wife's watching.
Let's see, Google. She's watching. She's watching some other show, but
Probably. She sees
Is this
enough
his
of me.
wife or your future wife?
No, my
Are
wife.
you married?
31 years. Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
Tim and I are.
Yeah,
we've got Tim beat a little bit.
Yeah.
Tim and his
I didn't know if you met
awesome
your
wife,
out there.
Christy. He's certainly married. Oh
Oh.
my gosh, man! I mean, you see Tim and his wife, and they normally think it's his daughter, but then
Oh.
the next thought is, wow, he must be loaded. Man.
Yeah. That's, yeah. That's
Yeah.
my joke. They're like, ooh, he must have a lot of money.
That's sort of like a Southern God bless you
That's
term,
funny.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, yeah.
so funny.
Yeah.
But where's
Oh,
somebody
look at
find an agent? They just Google something and
I would start small, and I always believe in being the big fish in the small pond.
yeah.
I would.
Oh, I
It
love
doesn't
that. Big
matter if
fish
you
in a small
live
pond, yeah.
in a tiny town, a mid-sized town. If you're in Los Angeles or Atlanta or New York, the bigger stuff, I would even start with a smaller boutique agency. Don't ever go for the big guns.
Yeah.
Let's say, again, I'm from Knoxville. Go to Knoxville, Tennessee.
Mhm.
I would just go straight to Google, and I would say, what's in my town?
Yeah.
Because in your town, even a small town, they're going to get breakdowns for the big stuff. But if you're new, I don't know, have you ever done an industrial? Have you ever done an infomercial? Have you ever done a local commercial? You know, a local car ad.
Just get your feet wet. Yeah.
Get you absolutely.
Yeah.
And then you just start growing, and you may outgrow your agent, or you might find they're not a right fit, or they're a great agency for your town, and then you move on. Or you may just be happy right there.
Just experience. Just keep
Being
just
that
work.
big fish in that small
experience,
pond.
experience. Yeah.
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 Just work.
So Tanya, here's what I'm curious about. So I love your authenticity. You're the same person on air as you are off air, at least
Thank
as
you.
much as I know you. I actually had a experience when I was younger. My dad lived in Los Angeles, and I would go during the summer. I'd go see my dad,
Mine too.
and I'd go hang out at movie sets because he had a friend who did hair for the movies, and she had a son my age, and so that was my babysitting for the day. So I'd go to
Yeah, that's
movie
cool.
sets. I learned at a real young age, huge difference between people's public persona
Yeah.
and their private persona. And unfortunately, it normally wasn't really good. And
The
I
same.
won't name names. I will tell you, John Travolta was one of the sweetest, nicest guys I ever met. That was a long time ago. But there were a lot of others and big names that were like, oh my God, are you kidding
I
me?
always say, don't meet your idol because they'll disappoint you.
Don't meet your idol. So
Yeah.
I'm sure you come across that a lot, and I'm sort of putting in some of my own bias in here, but why aren't you in New York? Why aren't you in California? I would presume you'd have a lot more opportunity
know.
there. And this goes back to maybe this is a life balance thing that we talk about on here
100%.
a lot, right? With our
Yeah.
faith, family, friends, fitness, and all that stuff. What's the thought process
Why?
behind there? Yeah.
My dad and brother live out in LA.
Okay.
So I feel like if I ever book anything, I've got a place to stay. I'm out there.
Okay.
It takes no time. And really, I think now you
Uh-huh.
can live anywhere. A lot of the big actors will live in LA, but they don't work in LA. They work where the job is. If you're in film and television,
Okay.
If I were younger and starting out again, maybe I would go and do that. But now I love my job. I love my career, but I also have a husband with a job here. I have a home. I have my friends. I have my children who are getting older. And if I moved, I think then I'm starting again in this rat race.
Yeah.
And I've kind of got it going on right now.
But so to me, it sounds like you got a little balance in your life, right? I mean, how long have you been married? Do you mind me asking?
23 years.
Okay, 23 years. So typical Hollywood marriage, what, 6 months?
And you know what?
Maybe, right?
How can it not be?
Exactly, right?
And I always think, gosh, if I had done this, if I had gone this way, well, I probably still wouldn't be married.
Yeah.
And not because of anything horrible that happened. It's because maybe I would never be home.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I would not have my kids
Mm-hmm.
because I would think, no, one more year. Let's wait one more year. No, I've got this. Maybe something would have happened. I would be, I don't know what would have happened. But
You're just away, right?
you're away.
It's
How
sort of
could
like
it-
I see these rock stars, and
You're
someone
just away.
comes on TMZ and so and so rock star is has got a divorce or whatever. It's
Yeah.
like, you think?
How
See,
could
they were
not?
they were on the road 300 days out of the year,
It's
right?
even if you're stay on the straight and narrow, you're just not home, and you have to be
Yeah.
home. You have to be.
So you've chosen. I think this is real important because this is what I see in business. So you don't have to be, away from your house to be married to your business or something else. We
Right.
talk about balance and
Yes.
here a lot. You chose to have some balance in your life rather than
It's important
Hey,
to
that
me.
golden trophy
Like I
that
love
you've
my
talked about.
family
Which
more than I love
yeah,
my dream.
that's man, that's a great way of saying. It. But
Yeah, it's great.
let me maybe correct you on that. That's not a right word, but your family's probably part of your dream,
The-
right?
Well, that's true too.
Okay, so you love your family more than your career
My
dreams and aspirations.
we
But-
all have different dreams. Of,
Yeah. So I didn't
Okay.
mean to sound like a jerk there. Like
No,
I'm
but I know what
correcting
you're
you,
saying.
but
More
I'm
than-
trying to help you there. Because when you say you love it more than your dreams, it sounds like you're giving something up. It sounds like you're,
Yeah,
you're
I know what you're saying, and I'm
Yeah.
not. I don't feel like I like what I have.
yeah.
Because again, if I had more of this, I would have less. I know I would.
Yeah.
And if I have all of this and never focus on what I would want, I'm about to be an empty nester, and then what's for me?
Exactly.
So you have to take care of yourself too.
You have to have some balance. Agreed.
You have to.
Yeah, I see that a lot. I try to share that. Boy, I sound like such an old fart here. Don't I?
You
I
just
try
experienced
to help people who are younger, and I explain to them one of the best. Tim and I actually met in a parenting class, and it may have been, I think, in the parenting class, one of the things that they talked about was how the husband and wife is the most important relationship that you have in the marriage, right? And when you
Yep.
come home, you kiss your spouse first before you
Yep.
see your kids, and you have dates and everything. And sure enough, I mean, you get older, I know I look like I'm 30. I'm a little older, but you start to
30?
go through this experience in life where you do have the empty nesters,
Mhm.
and then all of a sudden they get divorced, and they
That's
have
right.
no relationship
Right.
at all, right?
Yeah.
So it is important that you're intentional about those relationships, that you think through that balance
You
in life
have
as well,
to.
and you have something for yourself, right?
You have to have something for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't center it around kids.
I still think it's great that Tanya, you set aside some of your aspirations there to take the time with the kids at the when they were in more of their formative years and just sacrificing some of the career.
It was so important to me.
Right. Yeah. I'm sure it's nothing you regret by doing that.
No.
Right.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes you'll think, well, what if I did that? Or what, but why? It doesn't
Mhm.
change anything. But I have actually, as much as I love what I do, my favorite thing, I was in pharmaceutical sales for a while too.
Oh,
Were
right.
you?
Yeah.
Get there. How'd you fit all this stuff in? We're gonna have to talk about time management next, but
Yeah.
I did pharmaceutical sales for about 3 years.
okay.
And I love that as well. See, now that is what I had to do because I wasn't acting enough.
Yeah.
This was
sure.
I had to do something and they had a salary and a commission and
Yeah.
they paid for everything in a car
Nice.
and the works.
Yeah.
But then I had my daughter and we moved. My husband got transferred and my favorite years were being a mom to her. And people would say to me, Josh, don't you miss it? Weren't you on home shopping? Didn't you used to do some stuff? And I was like, yeah. It almost looked gross to me when I looked at this cute little bundle I made.
Yeah.
Like I just realized that. And then as she gets older and she got her life, and then I kind of started getting back into it because again, you're an empty nester before they're out of the house.
Yeah.
Because I now have a daughter that's about to graduate and a
Uh-huh.
teenage son that, hey mom, and he takes off.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
You're an empty nester before they're gone.
That's true.
But my favorite, I would never take back, and that wasn't for everybody being a stay-at-home mom. It was for me. I loved it.
Yeah.
We had so much fun together.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't regret
So
those things.
stinking
I think
cute.
I think
I
we all
didn't.
have those. I mean, I could have been working in China. And my wife was pretty clear about it. She's like, yeah, you can work in China, just send the paycheck home. It's like, she was not having any of that.
Bye.
She's disappointed
Yeah.
you're still not there, Jimmy.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. Yeah, there's days, but yeah, I think that's good to have the balance. All right, Timmy, what do you got, bud? We need to. I'm sure Tanya's ready to. She's got all these things that she has to do. She's
So much stuff. I
ready to
have
get
do
out of
so
here, man.
much.
I
She's
know,
got
she's
calls
got-
to make, and
She's got the role. Yeah.
she
No,
does.
I think it's great. I love the just the drive. I love just the way you overcome the rejections and just move on and keep the goals in place. So keep that focus to get you through those little hard times. And I know like earlier you're talking about regrets, and I read, I'm not exactly sure what it was also like a month ago. It said the pain of sacrifice and discipline now is way easier than the pain and regret later on. And I just thought that was beautiful.
that's
And I
true.
just kind of want to throw that out there to everybody to, to kind of mention what you were talking about before. You never wanted to regret it at this age had you not pursued it when you were 20. And
Yeah, and that unfortunate for everybody to look back.
I did the same.
I agree with you. I don't want to be 80 and think, why didn't I just try it? Why? Just try it.
That is
It's
the
great.
worst thing. That's my big
It's-
fear in life too, right? It's like no regrets.
Yeah.
No,
No
Right.
regrets.
just don't. Yeah.
And when you get to be, you're real young still, Tanya, but you get to be in your 50s like Tim and I, and you've seen,
I
see people pass away and just people
Yes.
go into retirement, and it's like, gosh, man. First of all, you don't realize how fast it comes, but I don't ever want to have
Right.
those regrets and say, God, I would have done.
Just
that,"
try
right?
it. You may think, a lot of times we think it's going to be something it's not. Everything looks real shiny and pretty, right?
Yeah.
That's true.
It might not be for you, and then you can switch and try something else. And you also have to not think in terms of just finances. I think a lot of times we think about the money, and if you're
Yep.
thinking about money in anything,
Yep.
whether it's my
I agree.
field
Yep.
or sports, you cannot do that.
Yep. No, I agree. It has to be a calm. That's what you're
yes.
saying. So
Yeah. I like
yeah,
that.
I agree with that. Well, awesome. Hey, Tanya, we appreciate having the big movie
I
star
love my
here.
gift.
I'm going to quiz you on that book.
Quiz away.
I'm going to quiz. Listen,
can't-
that's a life-changing book for me. I've really
I read The
appreciated
Circle
it, so.
Maker like 10 times.
Have you?
Yeah, I love
he's
that
really
book.
good at what he
Oh
does,
yeah.
so.
My wife's reading that now, so that's good.
Oh, it's so good. I highlight it. I brighten the margins. I love that book.
All right. So
Awesome.
hey, give us. Let me put you on the spot. We'll do some improv here. All right. Give us just like to get over fears, to be gritty. Give us like 3 things of maybe just a couple pointers. Just if you had to break it down. If someone's listening to this podcast and they're sort of not in their comfort zone right now, what do you say to them?
I would say you 100% can do it. If it's in your heart, just do it. You can't fail. The only failure is only going to be something that you put on yourself. You're not going to fail. If it's something that you love doing, whether it's running, if you come in last, girl, you did it.
Yeah. Good.
You did it.
You did. Yeah.
That's what I said about the marathon when I ran it. I said, if I come in last, I still get that t-shirt.
That's right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I got the t-shirt. Just go for it. Do it. If you have a dream or a passion within you, whatever it is, you're the only person that's holding you back. And just push that aside and go for it.
Awesome.
I love it.
Great, Tanya.
Yep.
Hey, thank you for being here with us.
It was just fun.
And I got a feeling people might hear your voice on some of these podcasts at some point, but I know you're.
If you
doing some
travel
things
to
for us,
Europe
but
That's
and you see
true.
an infomercial, you might recognize this voice.
you're it.
I
All right.
doubled it.
You're gonna hear your voice a lot. But watch it. I'm looking forward to that new show coming out. It's County Rescue. And the Mulligan is out there. I know you got a bunch of other stuff. But
I still
guys,
believe,
go look up and watch Home Shopping Network.
That's true.
Right. All right, Timmy.
Thanks so much, Tanya. I appreciate it.
Thank you for
Great
having
job.
me.
Love it.
All right, guys. Have a good day.
All right. We'll see you guys.
Bye.
And now, your financial fix.
So in today's financial fix, I want to talk to you about financial entertainment and people who you listen to on the radio or you see online or whatever. And some people could say I'm a financial entertainer sometimes, but listen, here's the deal. Here's the big thing is there's not a one size fits all solution for everybody that's applicable to everyone. So one example I come across all the time, and people, it's like college football with this, Tim. I mean, or politics. I mean, people just
Yeah.
they're willing to go outside and throw arms over this or throw fists over this. Is term versus perm life insurance, right? And you got these people that say, oh, they're termites, or you got people who say, oh,
Mhm.
they're trash value, all this stuff, and they make it real confusing and they beat the hell out of each other. And listen, here's the deal: is there's not one bad type of product per se. There's bad applications for the product, but it depends on what the application is like for each individual, what they're trying to accomplish, what their goals are, what their cash flow is, what there's just a multitude of factors you got to look at on an individual basis. So the tip to today in your financial fix is understand that when you hear somebody come on and say, you got to do this, and they have no sort of, background information that they're sharing with that, or nothing with you in particular, you need to see that as a red flag. And if you're really going to look at your finances seriously, you need to make sure you're working with somebody who's looking at what you have and making recommendations based on that. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, it's not like you just walk into the doctor and go, hey, I need some medicine. And that's all he's got. What's he going to do? He's going to start asking you questions, find out what's happening, to give you the
you don't
right
go
stuff.
into the mechanic and they just start saying, hey, here's what you need. We got to put new wheels on here.
Yeah. What should I do to fix my car? Yeah, you got it. Good stuff, Jim.
Yeah. And especially when you see, it's funny because I'll have people say, well, those people are really independent, because they're on the show. And it's like, yeah, have you noticed that they got 50 books out on financial planning? It's like, how many books do you need? That's their source of money, and always follow money back as the trail. And, it's good to create controversy, but just remember, there's not a one size fits all.
That's right.
We hope you enjoyed the show today and learned something new. Remember, knowledge without action is meaningless. So make sure to be intentional about life and live it to the fullest. And most importantly, get out of your comfort zone. And always, always remember to dream big, live with purpose, and attack the day.
It's time for the joke of the day.
Okay, Jim, my turn to do joke of the day. Now remember, these don't necessarily have to be funny. They're just called jokes.
So by definition, it's supposed to be funny. I mean, otherwise it's not a joke.
But we're both dads, so sometimes they're not always winners. But
It's a dad joke.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here you go. So my kids were younger, so I made up a joke for them one day. So I said, what do you call it when you put a pig in a mixer? A hamster. It's a hamster.
That took me a second to get that, but
You're right. I usually like to play to more intelligent audiences.
hamster.
A hamster.
Like pig is ham
Right.
and then stir.
You're stirring
I
it.
get it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
All
pretty
right.
good.
Yeah.
That would work. Did your
Yeah.
kids laugh at that one?
Yeah, but they were like 3. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. All right. And that's the joke of the day. Maybe. I hope you have a better day than that joke. Take care.
See ya.
All right.